Hi Alexis, how you doing? Okay, so hopefully I'll get this back to you with time to print. I know that you said you were debating on doing it tonight or waiting for some feedback to see if you could do it tomorrow, and that was at 4:50 yesterday. So hopefully. Anyways, okay, so you're doing something really smart as a young student designer, and that's you're giving the viewer some visual elements that are consistent throughout the presentation. In other words, you've given a visual concept. And the visual concept you've given are the circles, and you've established it on the cover and carried it out through the entire presentation. And that's a good, solid strategy. I don't think enough, as I said, enough young student designers understand the power of that type of continuation and how it can really reinforce and solidify and just create a nice, consistent, harmonious presentation as opposed to a series of pages presented together. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so that's good. That's great. A couple of things I'm noticing. In the cover, though, you've started with these kind of screened back colors. They're not full opacity, but then we jump into the first page, and they are full opacity. So that's an inconsistency, and that's a little bit, it's just like boom, all of a sudden, immediately we get this color shift. We can really see it right here when we take a look at these greens and these two blues. Okay, now the circle thing, I tend to think it might be a little bit overused here, 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 and here. I think we can certainly get away with carrying that concept through with maybe one instance every now and then instead of trying to force something on every page. Let me tell you let's just get down to typography, and this will start to piece itself together. So the type, all right, now this is basically a pretty inviting page. And you know me by now, I'm not into centered anything and in page design. Page mechanics to me is I teach modernist typography. Page mechanics I prefer non-symmetrical negative space, and I think that's much more interesting. That's why you'll hear me preaching a lot about not placing things centered on your page like you've done with your type and your pull quotes. It's okay on this page though, because this is an inviting page. Okay, so I'm okay with this. As a matter of fact, I think it's pretty inviting. A couple of suggestions. I would say on the first page, I would take this X height right there, or even a baseline, whatever, and start this column down here. So, and give yourself plenty of introductory area for the viewer to kind of sit to see what they're about to get themselves into reading the article. Instead of just taking all of a sudden, just kind of throwing type over here right next to the headline. And I want to talk about the headline in a second. I think that would be a good kind of breather between the introduction and the text. Then you can pull your text columns up the next page like you've done here. And this is, again, a good solid page. I think that your typography is fantastic. Your paragraphs are set beautifully. The type settings that you have here, hang on to them because they're working. There's only a couple of inconsistencies. They're easily fixed. We're not seeing those big spaces between words. We are seeing some spaces, and we are seeing some, right here, 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 right through there. And then I saw a line of really tight, very, very tight kerning. I can't right here. Okay, so there are some areas in question. However, it's perfectly legible, it's perfectly readable, it's perfectly fine. One thing I'm noticing here is that you're inconsistent on your indents. Look how deep that goes. Well, here, I'll pull a guide. Let me just go there to that indent right there, and you can see your next one is a full 3 characters And we can see the same thing here. Okay, I'll pull that indent there, and you can see this one is 2 characters closer to the margin. So, so that's an inconsistency that will have to be worked out. The only other thing really I'm seeing that is really, really bugging me is this shift right here. That's where you go from this, where you've got these really kind of wide, far apart, from proximity's sake, they're not right up next to each other. The text is given plenty of breathing room, and that's why I'm okay with it. Okay, so you got that set there. You carry it through here. Now the reader is really starting to get used to this. Okay, we do have a longer character count, but we got plenty of places to rest, so I'm going to be comfortable reading through this, and that's what your mind's telling you. All right, so we get through this page, all right, and get to this page, and all of a sudden we get pushed in here, shoved in here. Like, I get this feeling when I make this page transition from here. Okay, let's start. Okay, I get starting to get comfortable. Now I'm really comfortable because we got a nice cadence going. The timing is there. Now all of a sudden I feel like, have you ever been on the highway and you're in between 2 trucks and you know that feeling you get like the world's closing in on you? I'm talking about 2 semis. Think about it, because that's what this feels like with these 2 giant weights right here. These are very, very visually heavy. So to me, it's making me nervous, like I'm trying to pass between 2 large, dangerous objects. That's what I feel. And I think pushing that change in that jump right there, that whole paragraph jumping in like that and in like that, I don't think it's working. I really think it's an uncomfortable and forced shift. I really do. I think that this is just, well, I mean, visually, let me clear some guides. You, get out of there, you. Let's get rid of that. Okay, now look. Pretty comfortable. 2 pull quotes on the same page, don't need it. I'd take one of those pull quotes and bring it down here to one of these pages. I'm thinking about the cadence of the page, the timing, as it were. And then all of a sudden, bam, and then we get it again. Only this time we're getting smacked from high over here and getting hit low over here. So I'm just thinking that this layout is just so much more inviting, pleasing, and comfortable. My final comment is on your headlines are just enormous. They're actually, if I pull a guide here, and this is a 13, so if I pull a guide at our 6.5, then we can see that your type encroaches through the fold and onto the next page, which is going to be a really weird relationship when you have the physical book in your hand, because this proximity here is pretty uncomfortable visually. I would reduce the size of that. You'll see when you print it out. You'll see this is almost 8 inches wide and, boy, almost 1.5 inches high. So it's just enormous. It's too big in relationship to the page. You can see that. Let me show you a trick. If you go like this on your pages, let's go back off, okay? And you can clearly see that this type is too big for this page. You can clearly see it on every page. Maybe that's too, there's even better. You can clearly see the type is just in relationship, the spatial relationships and the relationships caused by the shapes of all the elements on the page. This is just too overpowering, too big. Okay, that's what I have. I'm really looking forward to getting printed out and having a look-see. So, all right, if you have any questions or comments at all, please don't hesitate to get with me. Thanks, Alexis. Good job.